So before I talk about this paper, so the title of the paper is the efficacy of personality assessment tools during recruitment process to achieve the personality job fit. So I wanted to apply personality assessment tools in recruitment process to see that if we could reach personality job fit rather than person job fit. So, but before I go through it, I have to tell you a short story why it started and what was the reason for doing this research. So when I got my MBA in 2010 up to 2017, which I started my PhD, so I was working in manufacturing sector in Iran. And during working in manufacturing sector, I was EFQM project manager. And if you know about the EFQM, actually, it has 9 criteria. Actually, this is the old model that we used to do it. So we went through the first model, which was, the first criteria, which was leadership, and then a strategy. And when I reached to the people, which is human resource management, everything suddenly stopped and I couldn't carry on. The reason is that there was high level of resistance from the manager side, the CEO, and from even the people, the staff, the workers in production line. And they didn't want to have changes into the HR and people section. And then I was observing that there is high level of among employees. And so all these observations made from my PhD that I could see that people, their job does not match with their personality, and there is no assessment for the personality of people during recruitment. So I wanted to find out which personality assessment tools is the best one to use at recruitment process. But interestingly, when I started to do the literature review and read the papers, I see there's nothing about it. So there was no paper which discussed specifically about using personality assessment tools, or PATs. I use it as PAT, PATs, in Iranian organizations, although it has a massive, huge manufacturing sector in Iran. So there were only 30 papers in both language of Persian language and English language, which among those 30 papers, only 27% they were talking indirectly about personality assessment tools. So when I went through it, I found that, well, it's not possible to talk about personality assessment tools. And I had to move back and back, step by step back, to see what is really going on in HR of Iran. And then I was thinking of the whole Middle East, the other neighbor countries, what's going on really. So I went through all these research questions. First of all, how do HR managers in Iranian manufacturing organizations react to the use of personality assessment tools? What is their first reaction when I want to ask them questions? And then the sub-question is, how do they evaluate the personality job fit during the recruitment? And then what are the perceptions of HR managers regarding the advantages and disadvantages of using personality assessment tools? And the most important thing, is it really necessary to use the personality assessment tools, And the last point, which I reached to it at the end of my literature review, was that what about the culture? The cultural issues, how it has impact on applying the personality assessment tools. So I had to take a multi-concept approach. I had to go through the human resource management, the recruitment strategy, the occupational psychology, the politics of Iran, the history. Even I had to go to the region, to the whole Middle East, to find out about all the neighbor countries. So you might be familiar with the Sanders onion. It's the best way to explain the research. Sorry, my pointer does not work to show you exactly. So what happened is that if you see the external layer, it tells you that the research philosophy was absolutely interpretivism, and it was exploratory. The reason is that we didn't have really literature review, so I couldn't develop any hypotheses, or I couldn't go through any quantitative data. and I had to start from semi-structured interview to go to the interviews, to go to the heart of manufacturing sector of Iran. I had to travel to Iran, and I started to do interview with the managers, HR managers and CEOs. And it was a grounded theory at somehow, because I had some observations, but while I was doing interview into the factories, it was in-person interview, not online. It was actually, I wanted to feel the real feeling of manufacturing sector. And so in terms of the theory, it was exploratory interviewing and grounded theory, which was innovative by itself. How many minutes?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, thank you. So I just want to go through very fast through the challenges. As someone who was Iranian, I'm originally from Iran, so I knew that there is a high level of social desirability when they want to answer to the questions. And I couldn't find HR managers. It wasn't easy to go there and say that, well, I'm coming from a British university to Iran because of the political situation between Iran and the UK, and say that, now give me some information about your company. They said, oh yeah, come on, I'm going to give you information. No, it wasn't such a thing. It was so difficult. And I had to go through a snowballing and ask my previous colleagues to introduce me the HR managers. But the results at the end, I found that, sorry, I have to say so briefly because of the time. The finding indicates that among those 28 interviews I've done, 71% of HR managers were familiar or heard about using personality assessment tools, but only 32% of those 71%, they applied it officially. And the other thing is that I found that HR managers, although they have critical point in organizations, they do not have adequate authority. They can't really do anything because of the sanctions against Iran imposed by the USA. So the financial situation, the problems happen for Iranian manufacturing sector. Their priority is to pay the salaries rather than pay the budget to do the HR strategic plans. So also, but the thing is that those who were using the personality assessment tools, they said that it was a light in darkness. They said, well, it didn't help them 100%, but it was a light in darkness, and they would like to carry on and continue with it. So I just want to go faster. Contribution to the knowledge of this research, which was 5 years of research, and I would like to go through it in the next conferences and go through the literature review and data collection, explain more. But it was really, the knowledge came out of this research was so helpful to both academia and manufacturing sector. And about the process of recruitment and HR in Iran, because there was no paper to write about it directly. So there are a lot about it, about the history of personality assessment tools, because I did a search from the 8th, 9th century, when from the Homer's time, Hippocrates, Aristotle. So why this concept of differences in personality came. So again, it was another contribution to knowledge. And it also added knowledge about the job satisfaction, how much personality assessment tools it leads to job satisfaction at the end. And also, 1 minute, yeah?
Sorry.
So no worries, sorry. Yeah, I know I can't explain 5 years of research in 15 minutes, but that's it all. I'm happy to answer your questions.